All right, and I should be live. Can give a second for the stream to catch up with me. Hello, Kagglers. Welcome to another session of live coding, I guess. Episode? Are these episodic? Maybe. Sorry, I just realized you could see a little bit of my bit that my green screen wasn't covering. Today, we are going to be working on some data cleaning. So, last week, if you recall, and if you do not recall, that's also fine, we started working on a task. So tasks are a new feature on Kaggle datasets where anyone can create a specific thing for somebody to do on a dataset and then pick the notebook what does it best. Thomas says, yay for data cleaning. Indeed. And then if y'all don't know Thomas, actually he just started live coding in R as well. So another person for you to follow. And that was on Twitch, I think. And hello, Manabu, welcome. Ooh, get some hydration going. So sorry, I'm gonna fix that. Nope, that's not it. Sorry, I'm trying to remember the key combo to... Nope. Please just hide that. Oh, well. Okay, there's just going to be like a little spot up there, and now that I've pointed out, you'll never unsee it. So the specific task is creating high-level summary statistics of this particular data set, which is from the United Nations. It's International Energy Statistics, Global Energy Trade and Production from 1990 to 2014. And last week we got started a little bit on this kernel, which as you can see has two visualizations and then a lot of like duck paddling under the water to get everything the way that it needs to be. And the specific thing that we are doing, I fixed it. Good job, Rachel. The specific thing that I thought we could spend some time doing is some data cleaning. So we had, when we were working last week, a number of instances where specifically I think the commodity transaction column had a lot of spelling errors, a lot of inconsistencies in capitalization and punctuation, and I thought it would be helpful to do some additional data cleaning for anyone else who wanted to work on this task to make sure that that column had really consistent values throughout. And for this, we're probably actually going to use Python. If we had two tables and we're trying to join them based on columns that had some inconsistencies, then I think we could use the fuzzy join package in R, which is by David Robinson. But just at the moment, I think it'll probably be a little bit easier to use Python because I have a kernel somewhere that hopefully I can find on the stream, specifically on using Python for fuzzy matching for removing inconsistent categories in a data frame. And just as a little review of what we found last week. Actually, can I open this in a new tab? Will that make it easier to see? A little bit. So this is the percentage change in production between 1990 and 2014 of different global energy commodities. So you can see biodiesel production was up almost 100%, anthracite almost 100%, additives and oxygenates, biogases, biogasoline, municipal waste, industrial waste, ethane, all really increased. And things that decreased, kerosene, peat, aviation gasoline, fuel oil, paraffin waxes, oil shale, etc. So this is just a high-level visualization of one of the many things that you could look at with this very rich data set. So let's start by kicking off a notebook. And I am going to do Python, and I'm going to have that create. And while this is launching, I'm going to see if I can find the notebook I was thinking about, which I think is the data cleaning model evaluation, data cleaning challenge, I think was what I wrote, the particular notebook I'm thinking of. And then I'm pretty sure it was inconsistent data entry. And this should be, okay, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. So this is using the Python package Fuzzy Wuzzy, which is a fuzzy matching package. And if you're not familiar with fuzzy matching, the there's a number of ways to do it. I believe Fuzzy Wuzzy uses edit distance. So things where you would have to change fewer characters in order to get from thing A to thing B are going to be closer together than things where you'd have to change more characters. So to change cat to bat, you would need to change C to B. To change cat to at, you would need to delete C. To change cat to cats, you would need to add S. So all of those words are one edit distance away from cat. But in order to change cat to catamaran, oh, I picked a bad example, you would need to add however many letters in catamaran come after cat, after the T. So that has a longer edit distance, so it would be further from cat using this measure. Hello, everybody. Alan is back after all the teaching. Oh, welcome back. Hello, Anarchy and Ravi. Paul Clapp says, who knows, lol. Presumably about how to spell catamaran. Certainly not me. That's what spell check is for, right? So we are looking at this particular, so to run through this version of it, and then we'll go back and figure it out for our other data frame, which is much bigger, which is also going to provide a challenge. I think there's about, if I'm remembering correctly, there's roughly 2 million rows in this CSV. Does it say how many rows there are in here anyway? Country or area, unique values, unit quantity. I don't think it does, but there's a lot of them. So that's gonna be a problem, because when you're working on character edit distance, it's a lot of comparisons. So the runtime is quadratic, maybe? I don't know the time complexity off the top of my head, and I think it depends on the specific implementation, but it's pretty slow in general. So, Jenna says, can it do clustering a la OpenRefine? Not entirely sure what OpenRefine is. Let me Google that real quick. Powerful tool for working with messy data, cleaning it, transforming it from one format to another, and ... Standalone desktop application for data I'll just pop it up here. Standalone open source desktop application for data cleanup and transformation to other formats, also known as data wrangling. Similar to spreadsheet applications, behaves more like a database. Let's see. I don't see fuzzy matching. Maybe. I've never used this. If anyone else has, maybe they can offer more insight. All right. So the general idea is you have a string of text like this. So here we have things like dicon, dgcon, dgcon, dicon, dicon, and these have different spacing in them. So these should probably all be one category. These two should also probably be one category. I believe these are places, provinces maybe, states maybe in Pakistan. Again, space inconsistency, but you could also have things like spelling errors that would also make it such that you wanted to find things that were very similar and say, hey, these similar things are actually the same thing. All right. Oh, actually, a little definition. Fuzzy matching, the process of automatically, is that how you spell automatically? I guess so. It looks right. Finding text strings that are very similar to the target string. In general, a string is considered closer to one another the fewer characters you need to change if you are transforming one string into another. Yeah, and a good point, you won't always be able to rely on fuzzy matching 100%, but it will usually end up saving you at least a little time in the ideal case. All right, so let's start by loading in our data frame. So I'm just gonna get rid of all of this, get rid of this, don't need that right now. Don't need that right now. I'm just gonna call it df. And then I'm just hitting dot dot says look in the directory above our current directory, and then slash says I want to know, pick a library, not a library, pick a directory that's within that directory, and input is the one that we want, and then international energy statistics, and I'm just hitting tab to show all the possible completions, and then all energy statistics.csv, there we go. And this will take a second to read, and then we can see the size. All right, so it's about, okay, so it's a little smaller than I thought. It's about 1.1 million rows, which is still not inconsiderable. Not inconsiderable. So let's take a look at the head first real quickly. So as I remember, we were using category, and it was category that we seemed to have a lot of inconsistencies in the data entry in. So let's look at value counts for that. It was category, right? Category, yep. And then yeah, see, I'm getting better at pandas, y'all. So that doesn't look too bad, and I actually want to print the whole thing, not just the sort of little well, that didn't work. I was gonna say I want to print the whole thing, not just like the first couple rows. What if I say that I want 1 through 71? Is that gonna work? Actually, what if I say I want 0 through 70? Will that work? Nope, still won't print everything. Mysterious. Okay. Umesh says we've been using fuzzy matching for entity name matching at work. Yes, it is it's a very useful general tool, but again, can be kind of slow. So I want to see all of them. How do I get to there? Names, is that a quality that this has? It does not. Pandas, print, whole series, Jupyter. Ooh. Jenna has a command, pd.set_option display max rows 100. Thank you. Better than Stack Overflow, the chat is. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Jenna. That was very helpful. And ER came out with the same thing. All right, so looking at these, so we will presume that the top couple ones are probably entered correctly. And then we have these ones down here. So this one, Pete Products, should be the same as Pete. Although this doesn't, just looking at it, it doesn't look super bad. So let's see, tidal wave and ocean electricity. Let's see if we can find that in the page. What about just like ocean? All right, so I think category might actually not be that in need of cleaning. I think it might be specifically the column commodity transaction that needs a little bit more work. What did we do? Was it back here? What did we do for our task previously? What column were we using? Commodity transaction. Okay, so we were using commodity transaction. So it looks like commodity is, category seems to be good. So let's move on from there. I'm actually going to leave this and just say the category column doesn't look to be in need of cleaning. So that one looks like it's pretty consistent and there's not a lot of errors in data entry. However, the category transactions I don't think are going to be quite as good for us. Commodity transactions, sorry about that. So that should be, I don't think I need to reset the option. I don't think it's buy sell. And I think we're going to have more than 100 here. Yeah. So you can see we have a bunch of things down here that are 1. I guess our second question is this actually a problem? Can I look at just the tail? No. Can I look at the tail if I say I want 10 of them? Yes. All right. Let's actually look at the bottom 50. Okay, so the bottom 50 all only show up once. So we have, excuse me. The bottom 50 only have a single instance of being existent, I guess. I don't know what the term is for that. They're unique, I guess. They're unique values. I keep thinking of, what's the term for a word that only shows up once in a corpus? Hapex legomenon, I think? I'm just going to look that up really quick. Hapex, let's look at the IPA so I'm saying this correctly. Hapex that's not IPA. Hapex legomenon. So they're not that because they're not words, but same diff. Unique. Thank you. Yours said bless you. I'm a sneezy person right now. All right, so these seem to be pretty narrow. So other liquid biofuels, transformation and heat plants, auto producers. So this would be like a power plant that generates stuff by heat where it's producing its own liquid biofuel, I guess. I don't know what that would be or look like. This is not my my bailiwick. Actually, Sawyer Dane, who works on competition, some of y'all might be familiar with, does have a background in energy, so he would maybe be a slightly better person to offer information on this. Bitumen, international marine bunkers. I'm guessing that's a bunker underwater, and bitumen is like a coal thing, I guess? I don't know. Coking coal, consumption by domestic navigation. So this would be for like trains, maybe? So let's get a little bit less specific here. Sorry, so I'm thinking about what would be most useful for this moving forward. Because these long text strings aren't super useful if you're working in data in a tabular format. So what's going to be the most useful? I think the thing that is going to be the most useful is to split these into separate columns. So the first column is this first thing, which is specifically the commodity. The second column is the use or how it's being used. So I think those are actually two pieces of data that should be separated apart and each have their own column. But we also seem to have this third thing sometimes, which is like miscellaneous. Yeah, so I think the thing that's going to be most useful is to break each of these apart into a column so that our data is actually tidy, where so tidy data has one variable per column, one observance per row, and you don't have something where you have multiple pieces of information per cell. If you're not familiar, the Data Science with R, I think, has a little vignette about it. And also I think maybe Hadley Wickham has a paper from like a while ago about the principle of tidy data. And if you're working with tabular data, it should be. All right. So Yeah. So the next question I have is what's the maximum number of little pieces we have per row? Do we want to put this third bit in a new column, or do we want to put it in the second column with the rest of that? And will that make the second column less useful? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I am commodity transaction looks to have multiple pieces of information in each row. So the thing that I want to do now is I want to find out the maximum number of dashes per row. Yeah. How should I do that? Is commodity transaction right? Was it uppercase? That one's category. Get rid of that. Commodity transaction. Count string occurrence by row pandas. Let's see if I can do that. Nope. Nope. First paste the thing. Count patterns in string. Okay, well that's extremely straightforward. All right. And then we can do dot count, and the thing that we are looking for is a single dash. All right. This is going to take a while because there's like a million rows and regexes are a little bit slow. Right. Thomas says, not sure if this allows links, but the article is called Tidy Data by Hadley Wickham. Thank you. Frickin says, do you need to write comments on code too? I would recommend it, especially for something like this where you're I'm figuring things out as I go along. So if I just have the code, I don't necessarily know why I wrote that piece of code. And when I go back to clean up the notebook, this will help me figure out what's important. Yer says, you are missing string. Series. Oh, so I am. Okay, it needs to do it string-wise. So you cancel run. You stop running. Thank you. All right, I may need to rerun from the top. String.count. All right. Is it still in memory? It is not in memory. I probably shouldn't be running this regex repeatedly. It is a slow one. All right. So this is the distribution of number of dashes per column, per row. So we have the majority, 953,000, have one dash per row. And let's just pop up the head of this column just so it's a little bit more clear what we're looking at. So have one dash per row like this. So additives and oxygenates dash exports. 194,000 have two dashes. That would be like that example we were looking for, like the commodity dash use dash domestic use or whatever it was. And then 4 was, Okay, so also about 41,000 of them have 0, so no dash, so it's just one thing, and it doesn't say whether it's an export, an import, or whatever. And then about 1,000 have 3 dashes. So the maximum number of columns that we would need in order to capture all of this information would be 4. So all of them are going to have a first column. The majority of them are going to have a second column, the minority will have a third column, and then only 1,000 will have a fourth column, because there's text dash, etc. So if we split on the dash, then we'll have text in front and after it. So I think that's going to be the best choice for us going forward. Is there an easy way to, excuse me, is there an easy way to quickly split, what do I want to do? I want to split pandas column by string. Yeah, I think that's probably the best search term, and will hopefully get me kind of close. That'll work. Split strings into 2 lists/columns using str.split. Can I split it into more than 2? Excuse me. People are helping me out with Mac. Sorry about that. There's a little delay. Also, what a just awful website to be on. This is not a delightful user experience. Dot split. All right, so it looks like I can just do that, and that'll be straightforward. Session says, should we use spaces around the hyphen in the count, as there can be hyphenated words? That's a really good question. Let's find out if that'll change our values. Oh, yeah. Yes, that would in fact be incorrect Python syntax. Yeah, okay, so that looks like that is changing our values. The one thing that we would want to watch out for is that there might be rows where there are not spaces and there should be spaces. But we will see that when we do our work going forward. Okay, and this looks like we don't need quite as many rows either, which is nice. So, how many hyphens per row? All right, so what we want to try to do now, doop, doop, get rid of you, and instead of count, I think we want to do split. And let's actually look, split. I don't think this is going to be enough information for us to get to the, oh, it is. List of strings. Return a list of words in string S using sep as the delimiter string. If max split is given, at most max splits are done. If sep is not specified or is none, any white space string is a separator and empty strings removed from the result. All right. Will this give us columns out though? This is going to take a while. Again, it's big. All right. It has not given us columns out. It has given us lists. Are the square brackets lists in Python? List syntax. Are those tuples? I thought tuples. I'm like 80% sure that tuples are in non-square brackets. Nope. Let's try this one more time with... it is a list. 10 points to Ravenclaw. Good job, Rachel. Okay. So now what I have is a series of lists. Is it going to be more memory efficient to store it as separate columns? Maybe not more memory efficient, but definitely faster for applying operations over the data frame. So we should definitely do that. But the problem is, I think some of these lists are going to have different numbers of values in them. So I guess we just start with the first one and we ask for the first one for every row. right? So let's call this split commodities? Nope. Got them R instincts. Yer says, I think you have to use the expand argument. And Swastik says, round parentheses is tuples. Tuples? Tuples? I think they're both right. Yay. I'm finally developing Python instincts. It's been a while. And as everyone knows, the most important Python instinct is to lay down on a sunny rock and enjoy yourself. Actually, I don't think pythons generally live in particularly rocky places, so maybe that's not actually a very good Python instinct. Find a warm hide. That's a better Python instinct. Okay. So, Yer says you have to use the expand argument. Let's pandas string split. Let's see if we can find the actual documentation for this and get more information. Pandas documentation, not some weird website that's just really excited about cookies, just really excited. I know it's a legal requirement to tell people. Starting from the right, pass delimiter, make end splits only. If using expand equals true, data series and data's index callers return data frames and multi-index objects respectively. Oh, awesome. I don't have to do this myself. Thank you for the tip here. Nice. Okay, excellent. So now we should be able to rename these columns. Split commodity transaction column into informative column into more useful columns. So I think this one's going to be commodity and then use and then misc. I don't know what's in 2. Actually, let's try that out. Let's check that out first before we start just giving things names that might not be very helpful. So split commodities dot 2 dot value counts. Nope. Value underscore counts. Counts. Nope. Is it not called 2? All right, so we have just a couple of things in this column: main activity producers, auto producers, total, and then main activity producers but uppercase, and then auto producers but uppercase. So I think the first thing that we can do is we can make everything in this column lowercase, and that's going to be very useful for us going forward. So let's do that. And I think it's too lower. I don't think that's gonna work. Yeah, no, it's not that. Never string to look. Maybe it's with no. Yeah. All right, now I'm gonna have to look this up. Panda series to lowercase. Oh, it's just lower. It's not too lower. All right, and it's string to lower? It is string to lower. Get rid of you. Nope. You're not. No. You're not code. Goodbye. You are. There we go. All right, so now we just have 3 columns here, three distinct values here, total auto producers and main activity producers. And I think that column is pretty much clean now once it is lowercase. Arshad says, why not regex? And Sashin says, regex is slow for simple patterns, more useful when you need to extract complicated patterns from text. Yes, in general, if you can avoid using regular expressions, it is generally a good idea. They're hard to read and difficult to do precisely in a specific instance. Does that make sense? It's easy to make mistakes, and it's easy to make mistakes that are not obvious. Yours says, if real-time collaborative noteworks were a thing in Kaggle, would you grant access to some of your fans for live coding? Yeah, probably. Probably like at most one person at a time, and we could use like some pair programming. But not a thing right now. Maybe in the future. Who knows? Aight. So that one looks like it should be good. Let's also check out the column. I'm just going to do this above this one. Column 1 and see if that one's good. Oh, no. Nope, this one needs some help. So you can see we have some that look fine, total energy supply, final consumption, and then things down here that looks like own use by Gauss works, non-energy uses, net transfers, that are pretty rare, that it looks like might need a little bit more zhuzhing. And we have 222 of those, which is quite a few. So how do you c-bind in pandas? Pandas c-bind. Concat access 1. Okay, excellent. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to join check out column number 3. I know it's called 2, but it's the third one. And make sure it looks good. Add 2 to our output data frame. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our data frame that we've called df, and I'm going to concatenate df and 2, and I want to change the name. Is that an option? Access join access ignore level. Names for the levels of the resulting hierarchical index. Alright, okay. Keys, names. Label the index, series names, row ID. Alright, I may have to, so I think I can do it, but I think it's going to be a little bit rough. Because the reason I think it's going to be a little bit rough is that I need to, first of all, fix my parentheses. I need to have names for all of the resulting columns, it looks like, not just the one that I want to rename. So can I get df.names? Is it an attribute? It is not. Is it a function? It is not. Call names, maybe? See if that's a thing. Columns. Yeah. All right. So let's see if this works. Names equals, and then the name of our thing, which we are going to call additional information. That would be because it is names is actually the thing that I was looking for, and also I think my white space is off. So now we should have an extra row, and it's still called 2. Not what I wanted. Okay. So I think it might be more helpful to rename the rows. Nope, rename the columns in our original split commodities data frame. So let's do that. All right. So let's do it here. Dot. Pandas change column names. All right. Div.columns equals AB. Oh, okay. No, that's pretty helpful. Okay, so we can just do dot columns. Excellent, excellent. So dot columns. What was the syntax there? And then pass it in a list of names. So the first one should probably be commodity. Is that already a column in our data frame that we are putting out? No. So the first one should be commodity. It looks like the second one is transaction type. Transaction type. And then the third one is, what do we call it down here? I think I would call this additional transaction info, because it looks like it's additional information about the type of the transaction and like where it's happening and stuff like that. Only integers, slices, and integers are valid indices. That column. Oh, equals. Gotcha. It should be assignment. All right, and now if we do split commodities.head, it should look beautiful. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So, one sec. Ryan says, did you want a new column? No, I was trying to rename my existing columns. All right. Rename columns so that they're more informative column names. All right, excellent. So I think that's a pretty good start so far, and now we should change this here. So this should be, instead of 2, it should be transaction type, I believe. Come on, autocomplete. Well, it's thinking. And then 2 here should be additional transaction info. And then we can get rid of this names bit, and we can get rid of this bit, and then we shouldn't need to do anything here. We've just added our additional transaction info. Oh, no. So things that we need to do is make sure that it is lowercase first. That is very important, because otherwise we're going to have that thing where we have very rare, where because of the difference in cases, the same category is being treated as multiple different categories. All right. What are you stuck on? What are you crunching away at? What's happening? All right, let's just cancel this. I don't know what you're doing, but stop it. Yeah, there we go. Excellent. That all looks good. That all looks good. And so now we should be able to see that our last column is not the number 2, but additional transaction info. Oh, right, because we already... Well, so we have this column 2 from when we added it previously, but when we rerun the notebook top to bottom, that'll disappear, so I'm not worried about that. Yeah, Ryan is pointing that out as an option, as a problem, and that's fine. All right, so that is one column good to go. The transaction type column is going to need some work, and my guess is probably that the commodity column is going to need also quite a bit of work. I'm confused by the presence of these since we split on those. And during the split, they should be removed. So, oh, is this an M dash versus an N dash thing? All right, fine. We're gonna need to fix that further up, and that's gonna take a while to run. So, I think I can just say, I'm just gonna copy and paste here. So if you see this, or if you see this, so if you look very closely, you should see that this and this are slightly different characters, which means that when we split on this particular character, things that had this character in it were not split. So now we should be able to just repeat all of this. That looks good. And now when we look at the commodities, we shouldn't have those guys. Fantastic. Problem fixed. Actually, this doesn't look too bad looking at it. So we only have 90 different commodities. And what was it? The pd.set options, was it? And then, was it something like display? I know somebody pasted it in the chat a while ago. Display max rows is the option. And I don't need 1,000, I just need 100. Okay, so now if we look at all of them, I'm just going to browse through these real quick and see if we have any duplications. So here we have other kerosene, kerosene type jet fuel, charcoal, bituminous coal, heat, bitumen from combustible fluids, brown coal, naphtha, refinery, vegetal waste. I don't think that's a typo. I think it's supposed to be that. Bagasse. What is bagasse? Bagasse? Dry pulpy residue left over after the extraction of juice from sugarcane used as a fuel for electricity generators, etc. Oh yeah, I think like Brazil uses that a lot, and maybe Cuba as well. I think I remember reading about that at some point. Paraffin waxes, cooking coal, coking coal. It probably is supposed to be coking. It's probably not supposed to be cooking. I don't think you should cook with coal, I believe. Anthracite, biodiesel, peat, black liquor. Total refinery, throughput, total refinery output, of which biodiesel. Direct use of geothermal heat, of which biogasoline, other recovered gases, animal waste, coal, solar, peat, uranium, from chemical sources, from chemical heat, solar thermal, heat pumps, other coal products, municipal waste. I actually don't see anything here that obviously looks like a problem to me. This actually looks all pretty good. So I think we're ready to go with just using this as it is. So let's do that. Sorry. Voice is a little crickety crackety. So we're just gonna add it on to this data frame. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my existing data frame, and it's going to have just a lot of stuff in it that I don't need necessarily. But again, I'm going to rerun this top to bottom. And then this command will only be run once with a fresh command, with a fresh version of data frame. So I'm not that worried about it. If I were taking a snapshot of the notebook at its current state, I probably would be more worried about it, but that's not what I'm doing. So that looks good. So now look at this transaction type, which I think is going to be the one that we have the most trouble with. And there were, what, 250, I think? All right. So I'm guessing that these ones that are super common are probably not wrong. There we go. Let me make it clear that they are super common. Why do these have like a negative space in front of them? Okay, so I think some of these have spaces and some of these don't. So I think one thing that we can do is we can cut trailing and leading white spaces, and I think that will actually probably help. So remove leading, trailing space, pandas, column. Let's check that out. So I think that's one thing that we can do to make this a little bit more consistent. Dot strip. All right. Yeah. Okay, so that should be helpful. String dot lower dot strip. Oh, right, yeah. Yeah, that's not valid. Not valid Python code. All right, it looks like I can't do those together. Can I do it like so? All right, yeah, now you can see I don't have that thing where some of them are further to the right and some of them are further to the left. It looks like I have fixed that problem. Let's look at the rare ones. Net transfers, non-energy uses, own use by gasworks, consumption by LNG, regasification plants, own use by charcoal plants. Memo, opening stock level, national territory. Memo, closing stock level, national territory. Conversion in blast furnaces. Oh, here's a typo. Transformation in gasworks. So that was probably actually a problem. Let's see if we can find in gasworks anywhere else. Okay, so it looks like it is actually a spelling error, but yes, okay, it is a spelling error, and there is a more common one. So something that we can do is spelling corrections. Oh, whoops, oopsie-doops. Did not mean to do that. To transformation. My guess would be that this is probably one that's happened multiple times. And I'm just taking notes for myself here to go back and do these. Rachel, why are we looking at the data with our eyes? Because that's the job. That's part of the whole thing, what you got to do. Let's see. People are pointing out that there are spaces around punctuation. That's a good point. So we probably want to do this to this. So I would probably actually do that as two specific transformations. So I would probably do that as dash plus leading space, 2 dash with no leading space, and then it's not a dash. I don't know why I keep calling it a dash. Slash with trailing space, 2 dash with no slash with no trailing space. I think should be helpful. Let's see. Frickin' Bieber says, is there soda ash? I don't know. Looks like not. All right. Let's look at energy uses. Is there just one of those? Okay, so consumption for non-energy uses and non-energy uses should probably be the same thing, I'm guessing. Well, I guess it could be production for non-energy uses, so maybe that's something we shouldn't touch. There's one of it though, so I'm guessing actually probably that is a typo. So let's go through and do that one. 2. So this guy is gonna go through and be join its 840 friends. All right. Yer says, actually, when you added the pipe character, you omitted the right space in the... Oh, gotcha. Okay, so that might be a little bit more straightforward. Let's try redoing the split. Doop, doop. Right. Oh, and then we don't have to strip, huh? We don't have to strip the leading and trailing white spaces. Actually, we might want to anyway in case it was there in the data, in the original data entry. So, Akash says, did you notice the spelling error in the video title description? I did. That one, it's intentional. It's a joke. I don't know if it's super helpful as a joke. Sion says, there's a YouTube chat. Oh yeah, sorry, there's 2 chats. I try to keep up with both of them. Enrique says, how do you know which ones are semantically identical? Good question. I'm just sort of guessing. Ideally, if you are working with a company with some folks, you like grab somebody and, you know, put some time on their calendar and be like, are these the same? Are these the same? And get help that way. All right. Let's keep looking at the very rare ones. Let's see if there's ones here that don't have memo in the front. No, it looks like there isn't. Conversion in briquetting conversion in briquetting plants. I'm guessing that's for charcoal. Own use, total tide wave production, reasonable assured reserves, recoverable, transformation, consumption. Did we see consumption down here spelled differently? CONSUMPTION. Okay, no, that's the same both places. CONSUMPTION. All right, that looks the same. I don't see any other obvious errors. Ryan says you could check each unique entry and use the Levenstein distance to see which are only a few characters off and combine if they're below a certain threshold. Yeah, that was my original plan, because I remember this data being, I've got one in here somewhere, using Fuzzy Wuzzy. Maybe I closed it. Anyway, that was my original plan, but just looking at the data, it's a lot less messy than I remember it being. I thought it was like a huge problem last week, and I think it's kind of not. I think it's pretty much fine. It looks like the big transformations that we need to do are to correct, are to do just like a couple of corrections, honestly, and then I think we should be fine. Yeah, those are the only ones that I think that we actually need to do. Gabson says, long time no see. Welcome back. Abhishek says, how to find semantic textual similarity? Not like this. So I'd probably use embedding distance or cosine distance between embeddings is sort of the standard. Bator says, she's a Kaggle employee? I am. And Enrique says, is there any spell checking in pandas? I don't know. Maybe I would be surprised. Especially because that's very language dependent, and I wouldn't feel comfortable including a language dependent module in a popular package unless I was covering a lot of languages, and that's, I think, a big enough project that it should be its own thing. Yours says, I think Spacey has one. I think Spacey has like some fuzzy matching as well, but I think they only cover like maybe 10 languages, which is not that many. But, oh, it's only in English. It's a lot of work, I get it, but also there are other languages than English that are also very important. All right, so let's first of all, let's reassign. Good. Let's reassign this slightly cleaned output back to our column. And then from there, let's do our spelling corrections. So is there a string not to replace? What am I looking for? Panda series. I bet there is. I just don't know what the syntax is. Yeah, it's just dot replace. Excellent. And then first the pattern and then the replace. Okay, excellent. So, nope. Yeah, split commodities dot transaction type dot dot replace. And then we want to replace transformation with transformation. God, and this is the point where I really wish there were just like R flavor pipes in pandas, because there's like something that's sort of similar where you do like a dot and a dash, but I don't think it'll work for this necessarily. So I'm gonna do like 4 things in a row and it'll be fine. I'll just be grumpy about it. All right, so that's the first thing that we're doing. And then the second thing that we're doing is we are replacing non-energy uses with consumption for non-energy uses. So I guess that would be like, instead of burning coal, you just ate it. I'm sure there's other things for it, like paraffin wax being used for skin stuff. And then this whole thing. So we want to replace this, and the problem is that this is a special character in regular expressions. So pandas regex escape. So the forward slash or the backward slash? I think that's the forward slash. I always get them backwards. All right. Oh, so it needs to be in. Oh, okay. Forward slash receives no special treatment. Okay, so I can just do that. Hopefully. I should probably do these one at a time, but you know what? YOLO. Also, the data set's not that big. And with a trailing space, and then let's check out split commodities dot transaction type dot value counts, and we should see a little bit And we should see fewer things at the bottom end of the value counts. So we had, I believe, 222 distinct values, and we now have, it doesn't say. But it does look a little bit better. So you can see we only have, what it looks like, 1, 2, 3, 11. With less than 10 instances. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. And I think we can, let's see, check out the commodities. They actually look pretty good. And then this one is cleaning transaction type. And then this one, scrolling down, is add additional, add cleaned columns to our output data frame. So we should add split. I believe it was transaction type. Yeah. And I'm actually going to rejigger these a little bit. Nope. Yep. Rejigger these a little bit so that we have them in the same order that they were in the data frame originally. So transaction type is going to be second. First is going to be commodities, and then transaction type, and then additional transaction info. And then those should all be added to the end of our data frame. What are you stacking on? What are you thinking about? And actually, let's just rerun this top to bottom real quick. Cleaning of commodities column. All right. So it's going through. It's running all of our cells in order. So we should get the same data frame out with 3 more columns, 1 for commodity, 1 for transaction type, and then 1 for additional information. And those should be a little bit easier to use for wrangling. So if we see category, used to be the last column in the data frame, now it is commodity and then transaction type and then additional transaction info. They've all had the leading and trailing white space removed. They've all had all of their characters made lowercase, and we've corrected a couple of inconsistencies in the data entry, but it's genuinely not as bad as I remembered it being. So we didn't actually do any fuzzy string matching. Whoopsie. I promised something that definitely didn't happen. Just we didn't need to. So finally, let's save it out. And ooh, can I save a Python file without looking it up? With open cleaned energy data.csv, and I want write permissions as file pd.write save. I don't remember the pandas one. Pandas save. If this is actually about pandas, I'm going to be just my 2 CSV. All right, so file.write, and then our data frame is df.to_csv. I think that'll work. Just a little quick peek. And it's a pretty big file, so it might take a second. All right. Excellent. And then if we do cat cleaned energy, nope, sorry, this is a bash command. Cat cleaned energy data and just give us first 10, we should have, yeah, excellent. We've got our data frame out. Looks good. Yair says 2 CSV. Ryan says don't need to with open. Don't need to do 2 CSV, or I don't actually need these. These were just to make sure it worked. I can just write the pandas. Yeah. I'm fine with the extra step. Hopefully it's not too confusing. And the answer to life says, yeah, pandas handles the file IO. So we don't actually need to do all this 2 CSV stuff. We could just say, have the data frame, and then filed.write will do it. Is that what I'm getting? Or it's the backwards. That we don't need to actually open the file ourselves. No. I'm fine with it the way it is. It works. That's what I care about. All right, so let's add a little bit of markdown at the top of the cell. This notebook book does some basic data cleaning of the commodity transaction column to make the data frame tidy and remove some spelling errors. Should be easier to use for summary statistics. All right, let's commit that. I will make it public so y'all can check it out. I'm gonna add my admin account in case I need to edit it later. I'm not sure I just added myself. That's okay. We'll deal with that later. And save. All right, so I think that is it for today. It was much less work than I thought it would be, and also sort of less exciting. But I mean, that's a good outcome, right? If it's easier than you thought it was going to be. Thank you for joining me today. We are not going to be back on next Wednesday, because it is a holiday and I will be out. But I should be back next Friday, and I've got a little something special planned. So I hope you'll be able to join me for that. And I will see you all on Kaggle. Have wonderful holidays if you have any coming up, and yeah, enjoy yourselves. All right. Bye.